Welcome to Scary Stories, where the darkest tales slither into your mind. Tonight, we're sharing a chilling true story from a Chicago apartment, where a simple roommate situation turned into a waking nightmare. This is the story of Alex and his unsettling roommate, Mark. Turn off the lights, lock your doors, and let's begin. In the fall of 2019, Alex Carter, a 24-year-old barista and part-time student, moved into a two-bedroom apartment in Chicago's Wicker Park neighborhood. He'd found the place on Craigslist, a steal at $600 a month, utilities included. The catch? He'd be sharing it with a guy named Mark, a quiet IT technician in his early 30s, who'd already been living there for a year. Alex wasn't thrilled about living with a stranger. But the rent was too good to pass up, and Mark seemed harmless during their brief meeting. He was tall, pale, with glasses and a soft voice, and he mostly kept to himself. Perfect, Alex thought. I'll barely notice him. The apartment was old, built in the 1920s. With creaky hardwood floors, peeling wallpaper, and windows that rattled in the wind. It wasn't fancy, but it had charm. And Alex was excited to have his own space after years of cramped dorms. He settled into his room, a small corner space with a single window overlooking an alley, and started his routine. Work at a coffee shop, classes at community college, and late-night Netflix binges. Mark, true to his word, was a ghost. He'd leave for work before dawn and return after dark, often shutting himself in his room without a word. Alex barely saw him, which suited him just fine. But about 2 weeks after moving in, Alex started to notice something odd. It was small at first. His kitchen chair would be pulled out when he woke up, even though he always pushed it in. He brushed it off, thinking he'd forgotten, or Mark had used it. Then, his coffee mug, the one he kept on his desk, started showing up in the sink, clean, despite him leaving it half full the night before. Alex asked Mark about it one evening, catching him in the hallway. "Hey, you using my mug or moving stuff in the kitchen?" Mark just shook his head, barely looking up from his phone. "Nope, must be you." His voice was flat, almost robotic. The incidents kept happening. One night, Alex came home late from a shift and found his bedroom door slightly ajar. He was certain he'd closed it. Living in a city, he was paranoid about privacy. Inside, nothing was missing. But his laptop, which he'd left open on his bed, was now closed and neatly placed on his desk. He confronted Mark again, this time more directly. "Dude, have you been in my room?" His glasses reflecting the dim light. "Why would I go in there?" he said, his tone oddly defensive. Alex didn't push it, but he started locking his door when he left. Things got weirder. One morning, Alex woke up to find a sticky note on his fridge. "Milk's gone. Buy more." The handwriting was sharp, angular, not his. Mark was already at work, so Alex texted him, "You left the note about milk?" Mark replied hours later, "What note?" When Alex got home, the note was gone. He checked the fridge. There was a full carton of milk. His skin prickled. Was Mark messing with him? Or was something else going on? He started to feel watched, even when he was alone. At night, lying in bed, he'd hear faint creaks from the hallway. like someone was pacing outside his door. He told himself it was the old building settling, but sleep became harder to come by. One night, around 1 a.m., Alex was jolted awake by a sound, a soft, rhythmic tapping, like fingernails on glass. It was coming from his window. His room was on the 3rd floor, with no fire escape or ledge. Heart pounding, he grabbed his phone and shone its light toward the window. Nothing. Just the dark alley below. But the tapping continued, now faster, more insistent. He didn't dare open the blinds. Instead, he sat frozen, listening until it stopped around 3 a.m. When he checked the window at dawn, there were smudges on the outside. Faint, greasy marks, like fingerprints, but too high for anyone to reach without a ladder. Alex was shaken. He started researching the apartment online, digging through old listings and tenant reviews. He found a forum post from 2017 about the building, written by a former resident. It described a roommate who acted strange, moving things at night and leaving notes that disappeared. The post ended abruptly, with the user saying they'd moved out after seeing something in the hallway. Alex's stomach churned. The description matched Mark's behavior, but the dates didn't add up. Mark hadn't lived there that long, had he? He decided to confront Mark one last time. That evening, he waited in the living room, the apartment dark, except for a single lamp. Mark came home late, his footsteps heavy on the stairs. When he walked in, Alex didn't waste time. "I know you've been in my room, moving my stuff, leaving notes. And what's with the tapping on my window? If you're pranking me, it's not funny." Mark stood in the doorway, his face unreadable. For a long moment, he didn't speak. Then, in a low, steady voice, he said, "I haven't been in your room, Alex, but I've seen you. I've watched you sleep." Alex's blood ran cold. He stammered, "What the hell does that mean?" Mark didn't answer. He just smiled, a thin, unnatural smile that didn't reach his eyes, and walked to his room, closing the door softly. Alex didn't sleep that night. He sat on his couch, clutching a kitchen knife, listening for any sound. The apartment was silent, but the air felt heavy, like something was waiting. The next morning, Alex packed a bag and crashed at a friend's place. He called the landlord, demanding answers about Mark. The landlord was confused. "Mark? He moved out 6 months ago. You're the only tenant right now." Alex's heart stopped. He'd been living with Mark for weeks, seen him, spoken to him, heard him moving around. He checked the apartment lease. Only his name was listed. Desperate, he contacted the previous tenant from the forum post. They confirmed Mark had been their roommate in 2017 and had died in the apartment that year, found in his room with no clear cause. Alex never went back. He broke the lease, losing his deposit, and moved to a new city. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe he'd imagined Mark, a hallucination from stress or bad lighting. But deep down, he knew what he'd seen. The smudges on the window, the notes, the creaks in the hallway. They were real. And sometimes, late at night, he swears he hears it. A soft, rhythmic tapping, just outside his new apartment. And that's the story of Alex and the roommate who watched. Was it a ghost? A trick of the mind? Or something even darker? If you've ever had a roommate who gave you chills, share it in the comments. Subscribe to Scary Stories Whisper for more true horror tales every week. Until next time, check your locks.